Okay, we are recording. Thank you, ladies, who are with me live today. You probably can't tell, but I get super nervous every time I do one of these just because I feel like I have just so much important stuff to share and it's my heart. And I'm like, I hope this goes well and everybody's happy. So I'm seeing your smiling faces. It's good. This is going to be good. I really appreciate you guys being on today. And I love seeing, don't worry, no one can see your faces. I love seeing it so I can feel like we're kind of in person and I can get your feedback as I'm going along. Today's workshop is all about how to create, build, and lead a heart and soul movement. So if you're here, I feel like we're connected already because we are ladies who operate from the heart and soul. And if you're anything like me, it's kind of hard to find the right foundation to build, the right steps to put into place to create what our hearts want to create in the world when we're in the midst of all of this stuff. Everybody telling us hustle, sell, and all these things that may not feel good and may feel icky. I covered a bunch of that in a little manifesto I wrote, which I can tell you all about later, but we'll be covering just everything that I have learned this past year the hard way and building up a really purposeful business and a movement of love, really, getting your heart out there in a way that really inspires and connects. And I really appreciate y'all supporting and being on this journey with me, especially this month and in 2016, because just to give a little background really quickly, I took this month off from working with clients and from doing everything while everybody else was launching things on the internet. I got quiet so I could create things. Because last year, I was still fine-tuning my message and I was throwing things out there. Here you go. And I didn't see it from the other person's perspective. So I didn't realize that, this is probably not making sense to somebody who has no idea who I am and what I'm trying to teach. So I took a big step back this month. I created a little complimentary manifesto storybook called Everyone Is Not Your Someone. And that's what we are building on today. The concept that if we are heart and soul women, we are meant to work with very special somebodies. I believe in business, and I redefined the whole ideal client avatar and the client conversation for myself last year. And that's what I'm going to be teaching you today. Building from that concept that everyone is really not our someone if we're working from the heart and soul and we want to make quality connections and relationships in business. And what are the steps after that to actually start to find those someones and attract them and get aligned and create a message and build a movement, because most of you are probably wondering, well, what are those steps? So for that, I've created a lot of content to share with you today. It's in a really easy to digest format. So I will be switching right now to that PDF, and feel free to take notes. I'll be keeping the little slides up for a while. So bear with me one second while I switch over screens. And then once I do, I love a thumbs up if you can see okay, so I know that you can see what I'm sharing. So here we go. Okay. Can you see where, good, I got thumbs up. This is why I love seeing you guys. Okay, thank you. So if you can see, it says that we are unlearning business today. That's what we're doing. We are unlearning everything that has been probably making us confused, everything that we've been trying and hasn't been working. So today I just want to start off on a clean, fresh slate. So I'll walk you through the process. Don't worry about, oh my gosh, how do I unlearn everything that I've done up to this point? I'm going to walk you through it easy peasy. So I'm just going to walk through some of this content. And while I do, I'll probably give you some side stories and tidbits from my own personal journey so you can really start to grasp and understand all of this. So I want to start off by telling you all that you do not have to be famous to make a difference and change the world. And why did I put the word famous? Because, we see a lot of celebrities and a lot of, people who are in the media who are doing these amazing things and working with these amazing charities because, yes, they have the star status to be able to be making that kind of impact and transformation on the world. And we're just sitting here like, how is that That's never going to happen to me. Who am I? Who am I? And to an extent, in the business, in the online world, I've been seeing a lot, and I know a lot of us have been feeling the fact that I have to get very visible. I have to get very seen in order to, oh, sorry. LaShawn, I'm just going to mute you real quick, if that's okay. Okay. We feel like we have to get visible. We feel like we have to get seen in order to make that impact we want. So I want to start off by letting you know the concept that if you are destined to work with someone special in your business, and and I'll be going over this concept, you're enough right now for that person. You don't need to wait until you get visible enough or get a certain status or a level of success to start making this difference. You can make it right now. So let's keep going, because we're going to delve all into this. If you are, and hopefully you are, I see a bunch of smiling faces here today, heart and soul woman, hello, aiming to create a movement, connect it with your purpose, there are a few things that you need to know. If you're aiming to go about building a business in this manner, either from scratch or as a rebrand, and I know some of you may be starting off for the first time, or this may be your second go round, third go round, trying to build something up. I have been through everything, so I understand wherever you're at. What I'm going to talk about today does not involve hustling, doesn't involve discovery calls, does not involve selling. So if you're like, woohoo, yes. They don't exist in this love world that I'm creating with you today. So again, just have an open mind with some of the content we'll be going over. What I want to teach you today is the model for authentically standing in your truth and creating a purposeful business with a mission that will last, hopefully, a lifetime. And a lot of women that I've spoken to this year and worked with have this heart for wanting to create a legacy in this world. And I know that's a big, powerful word, but if that's what your heart's been calling you to do, you're in the right place, and you become a leader that way, and you create a legacy. And most of you, if you're saying, I'm not meant to be a leader. I've had a few clients who've been like, I'm not meant to start a movement. That's kind of what our heart and souls are calling us to do, or calling us to connect with this calling, this purpose on our lives. So it's okay. I'm going to talk about leadership. I'm going to talk about, the idea of leading something and guiding somebody. And it's really how you connect with your purpose. So if you're still with me, I'm glad and I'm grateful. Let's keep going, because this is really, really powerful stuff I've learned for myself. And I'm glad I get to share it with you today. So I want to get one part straight. Hopefully you can see all the pictures that are here. I know we've got some faces on the side. Susie, I see you. So I want to talk about the difference between being a boss and a leader, because I was just talking about a leader. I know a lot of people in the online world talk about this concept of, let's be, boss, girl boss. It's a word that's been going around and buzzing a lot. And I believe there's a difference between being a boss in your business and being a leader. And maybe this isn't something that you've delved into before. And I just want to introduce this concept. I found a lot of cute images online that really easily and funnily represent this concept. So I'm just going to go through and read some of these to you. So, and it's not all bad. We've got the little Meryl Streep cartoon here from Devil Wears Prada. Doesn't have to be that bad. But basically, if we fall under the boss category, right? Because most of us, a few of us maybe on this call my hand is raised, has quit a job to start a business, and we want to get away from that boss mentality, right? So when we think of a boss, we think of, over here, it's someone who inspires us fear. I knew I used to be so scared at my old job when I was working at an IP law firm, and I always thought I was doing something wrong. I just always felt very inferior and very nervous all the time. A boss at some points can micromanage. I know when I was in the position working for someone else, I always felt very micromanaged, and it didn't make me feel very good. This is a going way overboard example with the tissue box. And, people who are in a position of being a boss, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily not good individuals. It's just they're not leading people in a way that can really develop them. So in a way, if you're in that position, you might be at risk of using the people working for you, and that's not a good place to be. A boss can say I a lot of the times, and they can be very focused on the processes. And that's what happens in business too. We tend to get focused, and I'll cover this in the very how am I going to make money? How am I going to put this business together? All of those steps, and we get lost in that. So on the flip side, on the right side of all of this, which is actually very funny because I'm going to be talking about creativity today, so we're going to be focusing on the right brain, a leader comes into it and starts to look at the concept, hey, I'm your colleague. I'm on this journey with you. I'm not up here looking down at you. I'm right next to you. They want to earn respect. So they want to, prove themselves to you in a way. They don't just come in and say, hey, I'm the boss, do what I say. They want to show you that they are coming from a good place and that they know what they're talking about, and they want you to feel good about that and trust them. They also, if you can see this image over here, they delegate a lot. Sorry, Susie, I see your little boy. He's so adorable. No worries. They delegate, like you could do to Leon there. They know that they can't handle everything themselves, and they have certain things that they're really great at. So they give away other tasks so other people can work in their zones of geniuses. They're not afraid to let go. They also focus on developing people, which is really, really important. That feeling, if you've ever been in a job where you felt used by a boss, you don't want to bring that feeling if you're creating something now. And it's easy for all of us to succumb to this, but we want to keep the focus on the people, the clients, the, fans that we're building up, our audience members, our tribe. We want to really develop them. We also want to say we a lot because we're going on this journey alongside them, and we want to focus on the people. This is really coming from the heart and soul here. So these are all concepts that are important to grasp at the beginning when you're starting to think about, okay, how can I lead from this way? We're setting the foundation here. So, and don't worry, there will be a recording of this. So if you missed any of the images, you can go back later and watch. So I just want to read a little bit to you of some things that I wanted to talk about today. When you choose to be a boss, you'll most likely have to hustle for clients. And this is, something that a client has told me too. So I'm kind of reading verbatim what they have told me before and how they felt. You'll have to hustle for clients. You have to work desperate hours to make the next buck. You'll grow a list in ways that don't feel aligned to you. You'll make crazy monetary goals based on someone else's definition of success. And all of this stuff, that's not why I'm an entrepreneur. And I don't want that kind of life. And I was living that kind of life, a few years ago when I was doing business in this way, and I don't want that anymore. I mean, do you? And if we're on the same level, I'm assuming that's a no. So if we're on the same page now, I want to talk about leadership, the idea of being a leader. When you are a leader, you feel like you can explore the next right aligned step in business and in life. They're integrated at that point. Feels organic, strict, simple, unconventional at times, always love-centered and soul-born. This way you build up a rock-solid foundation for that legacy of yours. And these are actually words of a client of mine. So I was reading, what she told me that she feels now building business in this way. So that's just an example for you. Coming from this place, you are able to create from your truth, build from your story, which we'll get into, and lead with heart all of the time. So this next page, when you do it this way, it allows you to speak with depth, explore your vulnerability, play with creativity, strike a match, and know with confidence what you are doing. And my hand is raised. That is the biggest thing I wish I would have known when I was starting, 3 years ago now. I had no clue what I was doing for so long. I tried to walk my talk. I tried to play it cool, and I was losing it. Behind the scenes, I was like, what do I do today? I'm really confused. How do I get people? What do I build? And this is something that a lot of us feel and we don't talk about. So today I want to talk about it. When you work from that place, you no longer focus on just staying on the surface. You no longer focus on just getting visible, not just the processes anymore. You don't focus on quick fixes, and you're not doing all this guesswork anymore. This means you have a really sound message and you aren't figuring it out as you go, which feels really, really nice. And a lot of us bypass this right away and we go straight into, I've got to get visible, I've got to make money, I've got to get clients. And I've been there. And when I've done that, because we can sometimes be focused on the short term, when we do that, we can hit a wall. I got slammed into a wall at the end of 2014. And if you're familiar with a bit of my story, I rebranded last year, 2015, because I had built a business in this other boss-like way. And I was hustling and doing all this stuff. And I got slammed into a wall where clients weren't coming anymore, where I didn't know what I was talking about anymore. I didn't have a foundation. I had built my house on sticks and hay. I did not build it on brick. And you'll be giggling if you read that manifesto of mine, because I compare business to like the Three Little Pigs rhyme, where you want to have a strong house built on bricks. And because I didn't have a foundation, my PayPal account was zero. I was really freaking out. Oh my God, I had quit a job to lead a not normal life. And now I can't do it anymore. Is the coffee shop down the street going to hire me? And all these thoughts are running through my head. And at that point, I was able to pick myself up, get back up again, rebrand, and put both feet in the fire and really focus on building that foundation, which is what I did last year and what I'm teaching today, because that is important. That focuses the eye on the long-term goal. So you don't, this is my hope today, you fall down. You don't hit a wall. You avoid those mistakes that I once made too. So it's my little hope and side tangent there. And the simple, really funny building blocks we're going to build on today are just some things that are really simple and I'm going to delve into, but concepts like these. You are enough, which we're going to talk about if you're working with your special someone. This involves you playing with creativity, like I was talking about, involves a little bit of healing, discovery, self-discovery. Then we're gonna move on to this building block of your story, your lessons learned, and I'll explain what that is. It involves your truth, the right words that connect you with someone else, and that connection you can feel with your special someone. So if you're looking at these blocks, this one is basically focusing on you. First block is you. The second block is you and your person. And this last word here, I know you may not be able to see it, it says real-time love. That last bit is focusing on, okay, creating this movement. So that focuses on the world in that bit. So we've got you, us, and the world at that point. And that involves, how to attract those special someones and do what I say, what I call wooing them. I make a lot of dating analogies when I talk about business building this way, and I will explain and it will make sense. And that's where leading and becoming a leader comes in. So you'll get into the concepts now. So basically there are 9 steps or concepts today that I want to cover, and don't worry, they're all on a page each, so this won't take too long. But this is where I want you to focus and take notes. So the first concept, and I wrote a whole storybook manifesto on this, so if you aren't signed up for that, or if you don't get my weekly love letters, if you're saying, what are your weekly love letters? You're probably not signed up. I have the link to that on the Facebook page, so you can grab this. I talk about this concept and more in this manifesto I wrote called Everyone is Not Your Someone. And if you get anything out of today, I really want you to write down this, this phrase here. This is really important. So if you can jot down, this is talking about your special someone here. Your past is their present, and your present is their future. So let's just soak that in a bit. I believe that an ideal client is a special someone, but in a really unique way. When I was doing the whole ideal client process, it kept coming back to me every single time. And I was like, what is this? Let me explore this concept. And I believe that, my special someone is an extension of me, and you can take this concept as well. And this is what I want to teach you. It's the idea that we come from the heart and soul. We cherish quality, we cherish relationships and conversations. And maybe we don't feel good. There's a reason why we don't feel good about hustling and working with everyone, because we value business monogamy and building up quality relationships. And so the first step of building a business in this way is looking at, okay, this person is an extension of me, then my past is their point A. That's their starting point. That's exactly where they are right now, which means that where I am today, what is today? January 28th, 2016, my today, your today is their future. And we all have a special someone, because I'm not you, you're not me. We're all diversified and we all have our own unique gifts, which is absolutely beautiful. And in that way, you have a really special someone. And what I'm teaching you today is how to connect with them and how to build in this way. And if they're at a point in your past, point A, and if where they're trying to get it to is where you are today, that means you're their point B right now. That means, and in the next slide we'll talk about, you are enough for them already. And that kind of, when you really absorb it, it's like, it blows your mind. It's like, oh, I don't need to try to become something for them. I'm all they need right now. So in other words, they are you way back when. And this is something, again, we're building a foundation here. It takes some time. This takes some work, because it's a lot of our stuff we've got to deal with and have come up and build off of. Because what I'm going to be teaching you today is the idea that you're building off of your story, which means that this is the foundational work. It's going to be a process, but this is going to pay off so well in the end. And I will bring on two ladies a little bit later who I've been working with privately over the past few months, who have been working through this process so they can share their journeys with you. So, oh, I can see you again, Susie. I didn't have any faces to look at. Awesome. So I've got a little clip here, a little note here, and this just kind of sums it up really well. The past is where you learned the lesson, and one of the building blocks was lessons learned. The future is where you apply the lesson. Don't give up in the middle, which is very true. This journey is where it's at. But that really is awesome, because we're going to be talking about the lessons, and that's really where I teach from. I teach from my experience, and in doing and building business this way, you as well can teach from your experience. And that means that in the past, when you're meeting this someone, you've learned a lot of lessons. You've gone through your own transformation, and maybe you're not even giving yourself credit for that and realizing that you're enough. But this future moment where you are at right now for your client, this is where you apply the lesson. And I really love how this says this. You teach them the lesson. And, you know, it may seem like a lot now. Oh my gosh, wait, I didn't even realize my story mattered this much. It does. It really does to someone just like you. And when you teach from this place, stuff may come up. I want you to know it's okay. I have cried plenty of times on my living room floor over here. And yes, this process is a little bit emotional because it involves healing. And in order to, Susie is smiling, in order to give love, you know, you have to receive that love first. So it really is, building business in this way is a healing journey, which I kind of love, because I don't think the point of business is just to make a wad of cash and sit on the beach. That's not what I am about. I honestly believe it's you coming from this place where you're making an impact, and you're really going on a heroine's journey. You know, this is, I mean, if you want it to, someone put it to me this way the other day, and it was really funny. If you want to make a lot of money really quickly, business is not the way to do it, you know, because business is really, it's the biggest step you can take on your road to personal development. I honestly think it's better than therapy, because every day you are coming up to bat with something, with a trigger, with an emotion, something that's coming up in your journey. And this presentation, this little workshop is telling you, don't repress that. Don't bury it under the emotional rug, because all of these things apply. And this is really a process in unfolding who you are as the amazing, diversified individual you are, so that you don't go out into the business world and become cookie cutter. You just highlight who you are, which is amazing. When you get to that place, you feel so aligned and so connected with your purpose. It's amazing. So I think I just went on a long tangent, but I hope that makes sense. When you come from this place, this little image in the middle, I put these images for a reason. You can converse with your special someone like this. I know it's really silly, but simplified, communication is as simple. We had 2 little tin cans and you were sitting next to your special someone, you just communicate with them with love. That's how they want to be met there. We've been told and we've been taught to tell everyone, this is what you need. This is how it's supposed to be. You should do this. If you don't like being spoken to like that, then your special someone doesn't like being spoken to like that either. And this has you think back to where you were back then. How did you need to be spoken to? What did you need to hear? And then all the answers come up because you're teaching from you and your story and that place. And that makes you create something really special and unique. And then when you communicate like that, you become friends. Really, to put it simply, it's true. I feel like I'm friends with all my clients and it feels good. And it's because you, Susie, I saw your image. I know how you feel. So we've got everybody who's like, what's going on right now? You can laugh at the recording later. Susie's making a face at me. But this is why this workshop is very different. We are a community here. You become friends with that person. You become really connected with that person. So that hopefully represents the concept that you do really have a really special someone in business. Let me keep moving so we get all this information down. Second piece that I hinted at, you are enough for your special someone. This may seem really simple, and it is in theory, but in practice, it's kind of hard because you're like, wait, no, I'm not. I can't take that compliment. All those things that come up where you feel like you can't take any credit, start to check those things, because we have to stand in the foundation and our truth that right now, today, at 1:31 p.m. Eastern, we are all enough for a special person because we are not at point A anymore. We're at point B. So we've at least got some little bit of transformation and some pieces of our lessons to teach that person. And that's where we can start today. So they are a few steps back. And if you start to understand, even if you feel like you still have a long way to go and you haven't gone through anything, you have. If your A to B is even just a month back from now, you've gone through a personal transformation. And that's why this thing isn't just business, it's personal too. You've gone through a personal transformation so that your special someone, an extension of you, can undergo a similar transformation. Now wait, what are you doing? Like the first page said, you don't need to be famous to change a life. That's changing a life right there. This is just introducing this concept that you really have everything you need right now to change someone's life. And then we've got to think, am I ready for that? That's what I had to ask myself. And then in 2014, when I hit that wall before my rebrand, I don't think I was ready to really impact people in that way before, because it takes a lot of self-work. But when you get to that place, you're able to really see a transformation. And then it's like, this is why I've done this. This is why I quit a job. This is why I started a passion project. This is why I've started a business. It's because I wanted to feel this connected with something deeper and bigger than me for so long. And now I finally have it. And it starts with you. Because the most radical move I believe you can make is to be unapologetically you. And it's hard. It's not easy. And I'm working on this every day, but our sweet spot is what we're constantly working on. It's what we're constantly struggling in. I had a coach at one point who called herself the Audacity Coach. And I went to see her speak one time in New York. And she was so nervous and so shy. And I was like, wait, you're supposed to be full of audacity. What's happening? And she was like, why do you think I talk about that all the time? Because I work on it every single day. And I was like, bing, there's a clarity bomb right there. I realized mine later on. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. You teach what you're constantly working on because you're the expert in that. So last year I started talking a lot about communication and vulnerability because I work on that stuff every single day and becoming more unapologetically myself. You don't see my personal life, but a lot of times I'm very nice. I have a very hard time standing up for myself when I'm in conversations with people offline. And I'm learning more and more to stand in my unapologetic truth. So again, sweet spot, something to take note of. And like this image says, and E.E. Cummings says, it takes courage to grow up and become who you really are. And that's the most amazing thing. I think when you can, and someone sent me a quote about this the other day, when you can strip off everything that you are not, you reveal more of who you are. And today I don't want to teach you to become something that you're not. I want to teach you to unlearn and strip off everything that hasn't been working for you so you can feel aligned and connected with who you are and become that, because that's what this heroine journey is all about. And this little note here by C.S. Lewis, because when you value yourself like that, you have self-worth. And sometimes we can get it mixed up. We can think about, well, if I have to love other people and serve other people, does that mean I'm not thinking about myself? And if I have to focus on me, does that mean I'm selfish? This quote sums it up right here. Because this act is being, humble. And when you're becoming a leader, humility is not thinking less of yourself. I like the little images they have here. It's thinking of yourself less. Let me repeat that. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. So this point here, coming to terms with the idea that you are enough, that you are great and fantastic right where you are, that builds up your worth, which is also a trigger word for me, that builds up that love for yourself. And that's not selfish, because we need to have that sense of worth in order to lead. And what it does is it fills us up so much that all we want to do is give love to everybody else. We're no longer thinking about what can serve me, what can fill me up. We just want to sprinkle the love everywhere. So then we start thinking less of ourselves and more about everyone else, because we think highly of who we are and who we were made to be. That's an important side there, and it's okay if it's a little bit emotional. So the next piece, step number three, is building off of the last one, becoming totally aligned with your truth. I think I gave a little intro to this before I even turned on the slide. Strip off all that isn't you. So everything I just hinted at. I heard this quote the other day too, and I think someone said this, if your business does not support your why, it won't likely be successful. And I believe that in the long run. That's why mine wasn't, because, if we break it down, and I've talked about this before, Simon Sinek created this little image here. He gets all the credit for this. He started this great movement in this book called Start With Why, which is wonderful. And when you do this, what it does is it creates message clarity, and it gives you the foundational building blocks for a really big, purposeful business and a movement that impacts and changes people's lives. So down here, I know for some of you who are on the phone or can't see, I'll just read this out loud to you. There's an image. There's a sphere, there's a circle with 3 sections in it. And in the middle, it has the word why. And then in the outer rim, it has the word how. And then in the last rim, it has the word what. I'll scribble it here for anyone watching. And when I was talking about bosses before, talking about the processes, how do I do this? How do I make this work? How do I get an email autoresponder set up? How do I get my website set up? That's all the how stuff. I was focused on that the first year and a half of my business. When I wasn't focused on client attraction, I wasn't focused on talking to anyone. I was wondering, I think I spent 3 months trying to figure out how to get an opt-in button to work. And then I finally delegated it to someone else who was a web designer in his own zone of genius, and he did it in 5 minutes, what I spent 3 months on. Because the processes don't matter in the beginning. What matters is your why. Why does your business exist? Why are you doing what you're doing? What do you stand for? And these are things that prompts I send out in weekly love letters to some individuals, because these are things that are important to think about. And that leads to your what. Because your why is the relatable factor between you and your special someone. That's what it is. It isn't the amount of degrees or certifications you have. It isn't your credibility. It's your relatability. It's I'm doing this because, and that connects with somebody else. Where do your values lie? Where does your heart and soul lie? This is the place for you to put that out there. And a really great individual shared this with me a while back. So this just sparked in my mind. So I'll share a bit of it. So this is not coming from me. This is coming from a very wise individual once told me that, you have a small why and a big why too to think about sometimes. You can have a why where It's for the little things. It's to make a contribution, to your family. It's to do those things that matter. It's to, keep the roof over your head. It's to, be doing something that you love while also making money. Those were parts of my little whys at the very beginning when I was first starting. And then as it got bigger, I was like, no, what's my bigger why? What's my theme? How do I connect with that individual, that special someone that I'm working with? And then I started thinking back to my sweet spot and the themes that were going on in my life and different words that kept coming up. And I was like, no, it's purpose, and it's having worth, and connection, and, relationships, and all those big themes. I think we can put them in categories. If you want to jot down on a piece of paper, what are my theme words, my life theme words? Those can go into that why section. Those are part of your values and your dreams that connect with somebody else. And then they're like, yes, I want to talk to you more. And then that can lead them eventually to the what bit, which we'll get into. Where are you leading them? After you connect with them so well at point A with your why, where are you leading them to? Point B, what's the what? Where are you right now? What does life look like now? Maybe you don't have all the pieces together, but you're starting to put the pieces of your puzzle together. You don't have to have them all together, because when the puzzle's complete, that's it. The journey is over. So, cherish and relish in the fact that you're starting to put the building blocks and the pieces of your life puzzle together as you go and build this up. So again, there's a lot to talk about on that slide. I can always come back to it, and I'll open up for conversation after. I just want to make sure I go through the rest of the content. Once you connect with your truth, you're aligned. And then you can do this fourth bit. So this is the fourth piece. And this is something that people really love. And I've talked about this concept a bit in the past, and it's this idea of sticky posts, which I'll go over. This fourth bit is that you want to start connecting now. You want to convey your message in a really soulful way, because your message is based in your why. And I say you can do that via sticky posts, or very simply, human connection. So sticky posts is what I dubbed my just social media posts I was doing last year, when people start responding and were saying, how are you reading my mind? This is like exactly what my heart and soul is thinking. What, are you a mind reader? And I was like, no. And I said they're sticky posts because they're so good they stick to your special someone's soul. It's simply because when you get so aligned with who you are and you realize, okay, I'm talking to that version of me a few years back, a few months back, you don't have to guess around. What am I helping this person with? What do I say to get them to connect with me? You directly speak to yourself, that special someone, and you write as if you're writing to that person, and that speaks, that translates, that connects and conveys your message in a soulful way. So it's doing exactly that. It's meeting your person at their present, which is your past, labeled at point A, and you are at point B. And all you have to do is ask yourself, am I able to go back there? Right? Because that's where you've got to meet them. You've got to go back to that point A, and you've got to meet them at that place. And it may be scary, because it may bring up all these fears and all these thoughts like, wait, I don't know if I'm ready to go back there. That's why this is building a foundation and dealing with your story and pieces of yourself. Because if you're to connect with that person, you may have to confront some demons, from the past. And it's okay, because this is a healing journey. And it's okay if things come up and you're like, I don't want to go there yet. You don't have to meet your person at a point that's too painful. You get to choose where the starting point is. You get to choose where point A is. And it's meeting them there. And this is why this is so transformational, because it's so personal. So Brené Brown explains this really, really, really well, this idea of vulnerability. And this is empathy right here. This is what we're learning here, not sympathy. We're learning empathy. And I have some cute images because this explains it really well. Brené Brown did this little image on the left. She has a video about empathy. But basically, this little explanation here is that it's the identification with and understanding of another situation, feelings, and motives. And basically, Brené Brown said it's connecting with a feeling in you that connects with a feeling in someone else. And you can totally feel that feeling, right? If you're working with a special someone and you're connecting with them at point A, where you once were, you know those feelings, right? Yeah, Hope it's starting to make sense now. So in this little image here she created, there's these little cartoon characters, and they're in this really dark room. And this fox, this little cartoon of a fox here saying, hey, I'm stuck. It's dark here and I'm overwhelmed. And this bear is, you know, in the dark with them. They're meeting them where they are. And that's a concept I talk about a lot, but this is what it is. The whole video really sums it up well, and I can send it to any of you who want it. But basically, there's a little staircase here, and there's another little character at the top, and he's portraying sympathy. And he's just looking down the hole, and he's saying, you want a sandwich? You want me to get you anything? And it's really cute because he doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to connect with the person. The person's like, no, that's not what, I don't want a sandwich. Like, come down in the dark hole and meet me here. And not everyone is willing to do that. But when you do that and you connect with that feeling in you that connects with the feeling in them, that establishes immediate trust, immediate relatability, immediate connection. And all you have to do is say something simple like this little line says over here. You're not a burden. You know, you're a human. I put that little quote there because, you know, these sticky posts, these little simple ways for us to connect are just a few words that we can say to meet that person where they are. And it could be as simple as saying, you know, I want you to know that you're enough right here. I understand it's dark down here. You're no one's burden. Everything you're feeling, you're just human. You know, it could just be really simple, really connecting. You don't have to go into all your story there because you're focusing on what them, because you're filled up now. You just want to spread the love. So let's keep going, because the sticky post is a snapshot of this. Conversation is the next piece. I think we're on piece number 5. Conversation is what happens next. So it's basically the extended version of a post. Now you're actually having a dialogue. And communication is something that I really focus on too with my clients and building up businesses in this way. This, and I'll tell you what it leads to in a second, but when you have a conversation this way, you share what you know with someone who knows that pain, right? Your special someone who's in your past. But since you're at point B, that pain is no longer your reality. Because what? You've gone through a transformation. This is where you realize it. This is where the deep stuff comes in. This is where you share your experience, because that is what's going to resonate. And this is the power, what I say a lot, sharing your story out loud with your special someone. Do you start, and this will seep in a little bit later, but do you start to see the power here? Because you're really taking a step back and choosing to meet them there. And not everyone will do that for them. And that's really powerful. So it's sharing the love at this point. And what I did was I just took some snapshots of, there's certain people who make cards now for people going through grief and going through different stages in their own personal journey. And there are some people who write empathy cards and are able to just connect with that person and not just sympathize, but really connect and say what they're feeling and what's going on. So I just took some examples so you can see different ways to start a conversation. You don't have to come from the high ground and say, you know, you need to do this. It'll get better. Not like a boss, not like a trainer. Because no one wants to hear that. You have to meet the person and think, I was this person. What did I want to hear? So this one card on the left, I won't read it all, but it starts off by saying, well, this just sucks. Because you're meeting them in the dark hole, right? You're meeting, see you laughing, really good. Then it just keeps going, and it's just having a relatable conversation. It says, I wish I had a better way to say it, but my brain feels totally stuck right now. I just want you to know that even though you might not always have exactly the right words, you'll always have me. I'm not going anywhere, so I hope you're cool with that. By the way, I love you. This card is just very simple. There's another one. I won't read everything to you, but see, people don't have conversations like that anymore. And if you're giggling and you're like, whoa, I don't talk like that, something to take note of. Because if you're meeting someone where they are, someone just like you, you got to speak to yourself like you would want to be spoken to. And if they're in a dark spot, if they're at a problem and you're the solution, meet them there. Say it sucks. You know, recognize what they're feeling, because you're okay to go there now, because you filled up your love gas tank beforehand. So you're prepared to go on the journey with them. So we'll keep moving and keeping an eye on the time. So I said at the beginning here that having a conversation like this leads to, the next slide is what I call a very natural soft close. It's not those, hey, get on a discovery call with me, and then I'm going to help you. But then, and I used to be so awkward at this, like 15 minutes into it, I'm going to transition so awkwardly into, hey, you should buy my program kind of thing, and then try to hard sell someone. Oh my God, I was so bad at those because it didn't feel good to me. It probably doesn't feel good to you either. Doing business this way, and this has happened to me plenty of times, it allows you, I don't feel like I sell anymore. It allows you not to sell, because when you have this connection and this dialogue and this immediate connection with someone because you've built such a strong foundation, this happens a lot of the time. You're not chasing anymore because you've wooed and you've been what I call the gentlewoman in business. You've put up a strong, profile of yourself. And this person is like, yes, I am a match with you. I want to get to know you more. At that point, you don't have to do any of the chasing. You don't have to do any of the hustling or the desperation. You work smarter, not harder at this point, because you've done the groundwork and made it known that, you really want to build a relationship with this person. They turn around and say something to the effect of, can I work with you? So they ask you, mind blown, right? This hasn't happened. This can happen if you do business this way. And it's because you're putting the pieces of your life journey together so that they don't have to figure out the transformation for themselves. You're going through your own transformation and packaging it up so you can say, hey, can I share with you what I know so that you can avoid all the mistakes and pitfalls I've went through, because I see you're at a place where I was once at. That's why you're talking to someone like you. This kind of dialogue sparks immediate connection. And they may turn around and say something like, hey, you can run away with me anytime you want. They might say the silliest things, because what is it? You're connecting with them at this point. You're becoming friends. And if you haven't worked with someone like this before or had this kind of connection, yes, it is a possibility. And Justina, I see you. We will be getting to you in a second, because I have a few ladies who are coming on today who are going to share their experience and how this stuff actually does work. So the next bit is, and we're getting to the end here, is that once you start having these dialogues, what do you do with these special someones who come your way? At that point, you can start building a tribe of your special someones, because at that point, you all know what it's like to have a personal transformation. You're all connected at that same point A, and you're getting all of them to that same point B. So there's not all these different people, in a Facebook group you create it all over the place, and you're like, what am I doing and how do I rein everyone in? Everyone's connected. Everybody feels good. Together, you all can relate, because you've all met at a place where you're on a journey of love, and that transforms. A little silly image here, but at that point, you have happiness because you're in a sisterhood. And when I did a little program last year where I was really working with my special someones, and some of them are on today, I see some of you, we call each other. At that point, I was teaching them to be, I was calling them soul CEOs, because building a business this way, that's what you become. And we were calling each other, soul CEO sisters. And that's what we really feel like now. We show up and we support others when they're posting in different groups, and it really feels good, right? I see you, so I know you feel the same way. Those of you I can see. So at that point, after this, and this is a little bit of a hard bit too, but this comes way later in the game, towards the end of this whole business building process in this way. This is where, not just in your posts and not just in your conversations, but everywhere, if you're asked to come on, a podcast or do an interview or write blog posts or write guest posts, anytime you start sharing and you start talking about your story or you start talking about your experience, I want to just bring up this concept of sharing in a way that's not just vulnerable, but it's strategic. And there's something I teach, and this comes at the end of the process. It's called strategic vulnerability. And again, this has everything to do with your story, because you're building on your story here. But there's an important way to be sharing it. And the best way I can describe this is if, something happens in your life and all of a sudden you just get like a whoosh of desperation or anxiety or grief that washes over you, and you're just like, I can't deal with this. And then you pick up your phone and you're like, I have to call the first contact I can find so I can talk this out. And if you've ever had that feeling, it's just like when something bad happens, you don't want to be alone. You don't want to deal with it. So you start sharing with even someone you haven't talked to in a while, right? Because you want to get it out of your system. I used to share from this place all of the time, and I didn't realize what I was doing. It was basically like I was sharing my wounds with someone. All this stuff that wasn't healed with inside of me, I was just like, hey, talk to me, make me feel better, fill me up, comfort me, console me, do something for me, right? But when we started out, talking about all this, we talked about filling ourselves up first. So we all have those places where life is up and down. So we're always going to have triggers and things that come up in our lives. But we can choose now, knowing all this, we don't have to share from our wounds. We don't have to, when we're sharing our story, we don't have to say, and this happened to me, and that happened to me, and just stay in the bad stuff, because we're not seeking sympathy. We're not seeking consolation from someone, right? And you've probably seen people sharing in this way, and you've probably felt a certain way about it, like, I don't know what to say to this. This is why I want to talk to you about the idea that you can share vulnerably, but in a strategic manner. And how I teach it is just the idea that you're sharing from your scars at this point. And what that is, you're simply dealing with all the crap when it happens, first and foremost with yourself, so that the wound slowly transforms into a scar, which is kind of this like little patched up heart here, because we've all had cracks and bumps and bruises that have happened to us. But when we're able to share from a healed place, what we do is we mention maybe the bad stuff that happened, but we give a lesson to it. I want to share this with you because I see, for anyone listening, if you're going through this, it gets better. You're going to be okay. You give a positive to the negative because you're not wanting to be consoled. You're not wanting sympathy. You're filled up, so you want to give love. Maybe you're sharing your story for anyone who's going through something similar, and you want them to know that it's going to be okay at the end of the day, that they don't have to stay in that negative place. And what happens is that you start to come from a very giving place. You're not even focused on yourself anymore. You're focused on the other person. And that's where you give from love. And that goes back to the idea that you're not thinking less of yourself, you're thinking of yourself less. And this is a perfect example of that. When you share your lessons learned for the benefit of someone else, you don't have to be famous. You can change a life at that point because you're giving of yourself so that somebody else doesn't have to go through all the pain that you've gone through. And this is why your lessons learned here apply to your special someone you can empathize with, which is what we talked about. This is why you share your scars with them. And like we talked about, the only way to give this love is by receiving it first. So it's important to love you too. I just wanted to add that note in, to love you first, because that's how you can love this special someone in the process and really transform their lives. And this is how you build up a purposeful business and a movement. So I put this little equation here, this visual, simple equation, and it just says, there's this image that says, life becomes easier when you learn to accept an apology you never got. So you might have figured out by this point that there's some deep work that goes into building a foundation like this, but it is worthwhile, what you're going to hear about in a few minutes. And when you do this, there's forgiveness that has to go into the process, and this is why there's a lot of work that has to go into learning how to share your story in this way. So is that powerful? But in order to do that, we've got to be okay with us. Maybe we've got to forgive ourselves for some things. This is a healing journey so that we can be filled up with that love and that self-worth. Because in our heart, this little image next to that means our heart gets patched up. We start to feel that love. And then it leads to this map that we can start to outline our story. We can start to figure out, okay, now I know what pieces of my story to share. Now I know what lessons to share for when my special someone is at this point and this person, A, B, C, D, if I'm taking them on a road from A to Z, and you know how to lead them through those mini transformations. This is really powerful, really powerful stuff. So the last point here, so we can get to our guests, is when you do business from this way, you create a movement based on your life story. And I hope you're starting to see that now, which is really powerful. And no one else will have a business or a movement like this, which means you have created something so unique and so creative because you spent the time getting into your story, because no one else has your story or has your life experience at all. So like someone special has said to me of my own, it's kind of like building your signature program. Thank you, Justina. Um, you know, if you've wondered, how do I create something that's totally my own? This is how you do it. And this is the end product. I see you nodding. Yes. Because when you're aligned with you, you attract someone like you. And that's where abundance happens. And those are my 3 A's I teach: alignment, attraction, and abundance, because that's how it works. So these little images here, I basically wanted to just have you see that, who knows, if you build something like this, you aren't just the person who is on a beach at the end of the day working from your computer. You're that person on stage possibly giving a TED Talk because you've created an idea that inspires. You know, you are the person who is not the one-hit wonder. You are the cult classic, which is really cool. I'd rather be that. You don't need to be the most popular thing in the room right now or in the online world. You need to be the thing that lasts. Because if we have that short-term boss perspective, we may be really popular right now. It doesn't mean we're going to be popular next year. But if we built the foundation, it's exponential growth year after year after year. And we last and we create something that still goes on even after we're gone. And that's really, really cool to think about. So this is a little heavy stuff. I'll just give a few simple graphics to explain it so we can get moving. But you know, I put a little image here with a mountain. I posted this on my Facebook wall before, but it shows the difference between being a boss and a leader. And basically, for those who can't see, it's a mountain and the boss is at the top saying, yay, 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 I got to the top. And all his people are trying to get up and they're falling off the mountain, but the boss isn't helping. And the leader is halfway down the mountain, pulling everybody up because they're alongside their people and they're bringing them on a journey. And it's not about them getting there first. So the difference between boss, leader, cult classic, one-hit wonder, all this stuff I'm talking to you about, short-term focus and leaving a legacy. I have this upside down pyramid on this slide too for a reason. Because in life and how we're taught to build a business, we're taught to build it like a pyramid, you know? Everyone's on the bottom, kind of like a corporate ladder too, if you want to think about it that way. And you know, the more money you get, the more clients you get, you're going to get to the top and you're going to be really successful and you're going to be happy. I've met a lot of people who make a lot of money and most of them aren't happy unless they have this sense of fulfillment first. And there's nothing wrong with being successful and having money, but there's a difference between being successful and wealthy. And wealthy, you know, comes no matter what your resources are. And, you know, abundance comes from that place. Abundance is attracted to that when you feel that sense of worth. And it's the person who can, I heard someone speak at one point and they were a millionaire at one point and then they lost all their money. They may have not been smart about it, but they kept, and then after they lost it all, they built it up again. And they were able to fall and get back up. And that's the difference between a person who grows step after step. You know, that it's about how you feel internally. That never changes, no matter how life goes up and down. If you have this internal sense of who you are, that always stays the same. And that can attract things to you no matter what. So I put this upside down pyramid on this page for a reason. Because this is what leadership looks like, not being a boss. And it basically breaks down a company. And in the upside down pyramid, for those who can't see, the CEO is at the bottom of the pyramid, at the tippy top. Then it's the vice president, the manager, the supervisor, the employee, and the customers at the very top, at the base of the pyramid, because it's upside down. Because when we think of leadership, we're not at the top. Because what? It's about thinking not less of ourselves, but of ourselves less. So we're at the bottom at that point, responsible for all of these individuals and responsible for their life transformations. And this is really powerful if you want to build something that's connected with your purpose. This is transformational. And this helps us realize that, okay, I've got to take my time building this because I've got to cherish the time I have to myself right now. Because once it starts working and once I start becoming successful, I won't have any time for me. I'll be so concerned with the rest of the world. So it helps us see that, I can take my time, you know, because transformation is going to come. It may be a slow build, but it's going to last a lifetime. So to sum this up, I know we're a little bit over. Stay on. I know I can't see everybody because we're going to have our guests come on. I see you, Justina. So we'll have guests share in a bit who have gone through this process. So these are the last 2 pages I want to read to you before I turn the tables over. When you do all of this, you change someone's life. And if you haven't seen that, yet, you can go back and watch the recording of this, because this is reinventing the business wheel at its finest. You're changing it at this point. When you align with your truth and you speak through soulful notes, you attract your special someone, you woo them with conversations, and you build up a tribe of special someones. By sharing our truth vulnerably and strategically, our special someones absorb our lessons learned, and it builds a movement that stems from you. And you are able to stand strong on your self-worth. You're able to show empathy towards others, and because of that, you spread more love into the world. That's pretty cool, I think. And it's all because you focus on someone you know, a little you, and you know their ins and outs. And because of that, you bring them on this healing journey, one that you know well, where you and your story are the only things that matter. And what's really cool is it gives purpose to what you've gone through too. Because you can say, why was I going through all that alone? Why was there this unknown that I had to push through all on my own? And how come I didn't have somebody leading me? It's because you were made really special, and you were meant to go through that so you could be the leader, leading someone else. It's really cool. And that's how a purposeful business is created, and you start to lead a movement of love. So someone sent me a note the other day. You know who you are, who sent me a little bit of this line, so I'm going to quote her here. In other words, you don't have to do the shitty stuff that doesn't resonate with you, period, if you're aiming to change the world. And do it in your own unique way. The end. Since this is like a little storybook read. So I'm going to stop screen sharing now. Don't worry, it should be on my face, so none of you who don't want to be seen will not be seen. I can see how many of you we have on. Okay. And Justina, can I get a little thumbs up if you're maybe ready to hop on? Okay. So we have 2 guests on today, and it works because our other guest was going to come on a little bit after 2 p.m. Eastern. So what I'm going to do, then we can, if we have time at the end, I'll open up for conversation and dialogue. Justina, is it okay if I pin your video so the recording, anyone watching the recording can see you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for being brave. So I wanted to give you a lot, everyone listening in this workshop. So for anyone listening, this is Justina, who I'm going to bring on, and you'll see her in a minute. And she's one special someone that I've been working with really intimately and personally last year. And we've been going through this process, right? So today, I know I asked her to come on, and I didn't give her too many details. So thank you for being brave. I will walk you through our conversation. I would just love you to share with everyone listening today too, just the process of going through this, the emotions that may come up, and how it may feel like I want to turn around and not go through this, but how worthwhile it is. And I mean, you're doing some great stuff now, so we can highlight that. And I just want to showcase, how awesome it is, what you're going through. So, okay. Hello, Justina. We can see you now. Do you want to just give a little introduction real quick, just to who you are and what you're calling yourself these days?
Yes. My name is Justina, and I am a mindset and strategy coach. So that's what I've settled on after all of our time working together. So I'm very happy about that.
I love it. So when you first started, and when I first met you, you were doing something very, very different, right? And you were just considering not just a rebrand, but starting a whole new business on the side, right? So what were you doing before?
Well, when we first started, I was a makeup artist, but I was also kind of like just floating a little bit. Like I didn't really know, like I knew the makeup artistry was there, but I knew that I wanted something like this word that you talk about, the purpose, right? I wanted to feel like I was making a bigger impact than just putting makeup on somebody's face. I wanted more out of that. So yeah, I didn't quite know what it was. I was, floundering around, and I would probably still be floundering around if we didn't go through our process. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that bit. And it's funny too, because I think you had some of the pieces at the beginning, because I remember you would say things like, it'd be so cool if I could help someone make up with their life and make up with themselves. So you had some of those pieces already. And for anyone listening, this is just a testament to not discredit what you've done up to this point, because just, what are there some lessons that you can apply from the makeup business to the mindset work you're doing now?
Oh yes, there are a lot of lessons. There were a lot of little pieces. I remember when I would go through my journal, like I would always be writing, and then I'd be like, Diane, oh my gosh, look at this piece. It kind of falls into place. But going through that process with you helped me to be able to put it like in, I don't know, in alignment, right? That's the word you use for me to be able to put my stuff in alignment. So yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone listening, just, mention the journal. I have everyone, at this point last year, I was having everyone create what I was calling a gratitude journal. And it was to keep screenshots and pictures of everything that you've gone through up until this point, right? So you could see that everything in your journey applies to what you're doing. Oh, don't worry about the background noise. You're good. Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you. Okay, good. No, powerful conversation. No tech difficulties. Sometimes when tech difficulties happen, I say it's because we're going to say something powerful. So I would love to just ask you to chat a bit about, starting to build the foundation. And I know I didn't go into too many of the pieces on this call because there's a lot that we do behind the scenes. But looking at your personal story and starting to jot down those plot points, where am I meeting them? Where am I now? So this like timeline of sorts. And then can you just talk about looking at your story for the first time, being able to recognize that I have a transformation to teach, I have lessons to teach, and then how to, because we also use our own pyramid, how to turn that into what you deemed a signature program.
Oh, I have goosebumps. Like while you're talking, chills just keep running right through me. I wish you could see my arms because I remember that process, and it was I dug deep. We dug deep, Diane. I mean, by the end, I got to a point where I have 3 different separate timelines. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I was just working through those, and we were pulling things together, and I think it was toward like maybe the program, I think it was about 4 months. It was like in that 4th month when I was like, I posted and I said, oh my gosh, I'm putting pieces together and I actually have a signature program here. This is crazy. So it was really awesome. Like I had no clue all of that was within me. I remember I've been on this little journey for some time. Like when people talk about the funnels and the this and the opt-ins and all that stuff, I struggled there too. Mm-hmm. And I always wondered, like, content, where am I going to get content from? I don't even know what to say. Like, I have something to say today, but I don't have anything to say next week or the next day. And you really helped me see, like, wow, there's so much within me. It's like, it's never ending now almost, So, oh yeah, good stuff for sure.
Oh my God, I love that. You prompted so many thoughts I wanted to ask you next, but I'll start off with the idea that, well, first, thank you for sharing that. That was awesome to hear. And I know you started off building differently, learning everything that everyone else was learning with the funnels and with the processes, and then going through it this way. I know it's funny that we were talking the other day and you're like, I know what my business is. I'm so clear. I know what my message is. I know what I stand for, versus doing all this guesswork and having no clue on what to talk about next or what to post next. How does the difference feel there, being in alignment now instead of just doing, I don't know what to do next?
Oh my goodness. I remember like during that time frame, I was writing some opt-in and trying to connect like the wedding industry to this, to that. And I was forcing a lot of connections because you feel like you have to like get these pieces done because you're doing the processes first. You're doing the technical bits that people are really, I say it's a way for them to keep you spinning your wheels and not working in your business. Really, that's honestly what it is. Because as long as we're still spinning our wheels and all that stuff, we're not really doing the deep inner work, So now I feel like, wow, there's just, where I was before was so disconnected, and now everything just feels more like, it feels whole, it feels pure, it feels authentic, and it's me. you know, and I'm okay to stand in that. That's the beautiful part of it. So, yeah.
We're not done yet, because for anyone listening, they're probably like, wait, where's the attraction bit come in? Is she like talking to people now? So I wanted to ask you, I remember when you first decided, and I think this was still in the other business, but for the first time you were doing this free offer and it was great and it was working, right? So when you started conversing and having these conversations, remember at one point you're wondering why certain people didn't opt in or didn't do this, and I asked you if you had followed up and taken those little baby steps, because it's dating. It's thinking, how would I approach this relationship offline to online? How did that change when you followed up with people?
Okay, so yes, in the makeup business, I was building something so much deeper with you, but because I had my other stuff on the side, you know, the makeup coaching stuff or whatever, I wanted to apply some of the stuff that you were still teaching us to this side. And I want to know, you know, does it work, you know? So I was doing a little bit of it, but then I got frustrated because that's just me. I'm like, whatever, I'm tired of this, done with it. So I just did maybe a part of the step. And you reminded me of the other steps, like continue, have that conversation, you know, I guess it's almost where when we're online, we feel like, okay, you put it out there, people are just supposed to, you know, jump on it. But no, we have the platform where we can connect with people and communicate with them and treat them like we would if it was in real life, right? So if she was sitting next to me, I probably would have done exactly what you told me to do, but I didn't think about it that way online. You know, so it's making that connection. And when I reached back out to her, it was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to get in touch with you. You know, my husband loves you and we really want to get started, you know? So that was the part where I was like, oh, okay. Had I walked away from that, I would have left that client sitting there on the table. You know, they were just sitting there.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I'm loving this dialogue. Just because I can't see how many are on the call right now, but for anyone, like, take notes. This is awesome because it's just amazing to see how, because you guys are live examples of how the process works. Because when I first went through it, I was like, I hope this makes sense, and it is. Because can you share, Justina, about because your new group now, I know we had talked about maybe you should, you know, create a new tribe since you're starting to attract these new special someones and start off fresh. And I know there was a little bit of resistance there because I had created a brand new group too, and it's a big step. But the name of your new group is beautiful. If you want to share that and how you're starting to, you know, post in other groups and have conversations with people. And I know at some point you sent me a message and you said, oh my gosh, this person just asked if I had a program, and Diane, we're still creating the program. And it was just from one conversation. Can you share a little bit?
Yes, I remember. I had a group already, and it was, you know, I'm looking at the numbers because I'm still learning, you know, that time, still a student, still learning. And I'm like, well, no, I don't want to give away, you know, give up this group because I have the numbers and the people are there, but it really was not. They weren't aligned with where I'm at and what I want to bring forth, you know. But I was sharing, you know, doing your process of the wooing in other groups as well. And a lady, she just reached out to me after a post. I mean, literally right after a post, she messaged me and was like, what exactly does a mindset coach do? You know, like, can you tell me more about what you do? And in that post, I wasn't trying to sell anything. I wasn't trying to say, oh, here's my new program, all that stuff. I wasn't like a walking billboard or anything. I was just sharing my heart, sharing, you know, pieces of me. And I had an opportunity to talk with her and share with her and yeah, invite her to the smaller space. So I definitely enjoy that. Oh, did I lose you?
No, we're still here.
Oh, okay, we're still here.
We're still here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm like speechless. This is awesome just to hear out loud because I know we've been doing so much behind the scenes. So I'm grateful that you're sharing with the ladies on the call so they can hear how amazing this is, because I'm just amazed and so proud of you as well, because that's client attraction right there. For anyone listening, Justina did not talk about hustling. She did not talk about a discovery call. She did not talk about hard selling. None of that. What did you do? You sent a post because you were connected with you and you were talking to that someone. They showed up. They're like, who's this Justina? and then got on a call with you and we're like, this is amazing. You're so relatable. I'm so connected. How do I get to know you more? And this, I just wanted to highlight how amazing this is too, because even when I was rebranding last year, and it took me probably 9 months to get to this point in the process, I was starting to put out those posts, but I was creating these little products and these little programs and not working with my special someones, and then still learning, wait, why did I put this out there just for the number or just for a quick bit of cash that would turn into a refund because they weren't my special someone? But what you just did, what you're saying, you're building such a strong foundation. And it's not about the numbers, it's about the quality. And you're right, those other people, they weren't all your special someone. So now you're inviting them into this tribe of yours, which has a new name and it's beautiful. And then what do? You just build them up, you build up the love. And when you're ready to launch your program, they're gonna want to sign up. Do you feel that now?
Oh, yes, I really do. I feel like, my larger space is just kind of like, oh, hey, what's up? I'm here. But my smaller space, I feel like, and the name of the group is The Purposeful Pursuit to a Beautiful You. So that is it, because yes, beautiful, beautiful stuff there. But I feel like I can really connect with those women, and my phone keeps doing real weird stuff. But I feel like I can connect with them, and we can have real conversation, and we can dig deeper. And what I'm doing is, from that larger group, if I host something or, do a little get to know you or something, invite people to my space, where they can experience more of me and what I have to offer. But the larger group, I'm cool. Nothing's attached there, because I have a space now where I can really connect with them, be vulnerable and honest and authentic and all that good stuff. I love it so much.
Oh man,
one thing.
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, in the smaller space, I feel like people are more open, because they feel they can trust you. They know that you're there to help them. And I even had one of the ladies, she uploaded a video thanking me, and I don't think that would have happened in the larger space. So the quality of what's happening in that group, it just touches my heart so much more, than the larger space. So I just want to share that too.
Thank you. That is a testament to you, Justina, changing lives, and that's sheer quality and relationships right there. And just for anyone listening, just to hear Justina's story and just how amazing this is. All of those individuals too, you have such a coherent message. They know what you stand for. They know what you're about, what you're doing. It's like a tribe of, even though at the point when you launch, your big signature program, you won't be asking for these things. Probably you'll have built in like evangelist system. They will just go out into the world and speak about you and share about you. And since you know who you are and what you stand for, and you have a working relationship with them, that message and the love will spread.
And if I can share something else also, like, you said it earlier in the workshop when you were like, that worth piece, how it seems easier than what it really is, but that is a part that kind of like keeps you kind of stuck. And I felt like I wanted to do certain things, but is it okay to do those things, and working through that process with you, and you just helping me build up that self-worth there, it gave me the confidence and the, like, I can do this, so that part I think is important for, if anybody's on the call and they're like wavering with some things that they really want to bring forth, having another person to help you process through it makes a big difference. So, and you did a wonderful job with me. So I just want to say that.
Thank you. Thank you, lady. I'm like crying. No, this is awesome. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I want to open it up. We'll probably go a little bit later for conversation later if anyone has questions for you, Justina. But thank you for letting me showcase you and your journey and your story. I know you were nervous, but I hope you ladies can see that this can happen for you too. And Justina is not cookie cutter. She has created this whole new experience from herself. So it's you each have this in you. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that bit about the worth. Stay on with me real quick. I'm going to see if Victoria's on. I haven't seen who's on the call yet. Oh, hi, Victoria. I can see you. Okay. So I may switch over to Victoria, but bring you back on later for dialogue. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you for having me, Diane. Thank you.
So welcome. Okay, Victoria, I'm going to pin your video. Okay, we can see you now.
Hi.
Thank you for showing up too. I know you're both nervous about coming on. I appreciate it. Okay, so I hope with Justina sharing too, it just made it easier. So I'd love for the ladies to just hear who you are, your name, and what you're about and what you're doing now to start.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to say I really love this workshop. I've learned so much, and I just absolutely adore you and Justina. And thank you both for sharing your story and so vulnerably. And so I help women connect to their unique voice of soul expression so they can live their life with their soul lit up. So that's yeah, I just got that right now actually. So from everything you were saying. And I started off my journey with the strategies, hiring business coaches to teach me on the funnels, how to do all that stuff, and it wasn't working. And I was stuck for months and months and rebranded behind the scenes like 20 times because I felt I wasn't clear at what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be. I just had a dream for the longest time, and my dream was to help other women to live their dream life, whatever that meant to them. And I was stuck because I was told I need to create this niche, this kind of avatar, and I was told many times that it was wrong, it was incomplete, that to keep going back to working on a PDF because there's no way I can move forward if I don't have that. And so on my journey to search to create this correct, elusive niche, I found Diane, and when I did, things started to make sense and everything clicked, and I had so much peace. And she was the one that really helped me dive deep into my creativity, which I didn't know I had, and gave me the space to really play with my story and how that makes me really unique.
I love that.
And now I've reached this place where I feel very clear. I never have to worry about what content I come up with. I did have an anonymous blog before, like Diane, but now I feel that, and I still had struggles back then too of what to write, but I don't anymore because I'm working with Diane. She teaches you how to look at your story and how it all connects, and that your ideal client is just a few steps back. And if you meet them where they are, then you create those genuine, long-lasting relationships.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I didn't want to cut you off because that was like a little TED Talk just now. Victoria, thank you. I love how you just expressed soul expression. And your "what do you do" line was amazing. I know you've been playing around with it, but for anyone listening, that was awesome. Like, I think I would, Victoria, if I was just starting out again on my journey, like that, if I heard that, yes, I would hire you over Marie Forleo or something. I'm serious, because that was amazing. And thank you so much for just outlining the testament, you know, from that point A to point B. I know that, you know, you've done the work and you've done so many, like you said, those rebrands, but also been in situations where the how has been talked about a lot. How does that, I'd love for you to just explain how that feels now, being in such, you know, an environment where it's the how, the niche, that you need to start off, you know, with this practice and do this funnel versus trusting from that place that you are enough for your someone.
Let me think. Ideas. it just feels really great to know that now moving forward, I feel good about what I'm putting out there, how I'm putting myself out there in the world, how I'm speaking to people, the posts that I write, the like course that I'm creating. It feels really great and aligned to know that I'm coming from a space truly at a comfortable space to leave an impact and to help and that was why I started a business, and not to just get numbers of, just not get the numbers from people that might not even be my ideal clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was beautiful how you just explained that, and so true. Because just hearing this from you and Justina, I mean, I wish I had a community like this when I was first starting, because a lot of us don't, and a lot of us can't hear this. So you guys too sharing this, it's so important for those ladies listening in. I know that you as well got tagged in a post in another group too, just by you sharing a bit, right? And then someone mentioned your name as a little bit of an expert, you know, on a certain topic. How did that feel to just feel like you could post and then have people recognize that and connect with you, and then have them share and refer to you? How does that feel? And how is that process like?
It feels really great, and also I feel that I've made really great friends online through this process of figuring out and organize everything of what I want to do. I just spent months just connecting with people, just sharing, commenting, and it's just kind of being out there. And in that process, I made some friends, and that one was actually a host in a Facebook group that I feel like I made a friend with, and so she's the one that posted me, but that tagged me. But yeah, it feels really great.
No, that's awesome, especially if she's the host too, because that's recognized, you know, a connection with you, and Victoria knows what she's talking about. So that's an extra buffer and a boost. That's awesome. I wanted to ask you if you wanted to share a little bit more about, because part of our process too, some of the behind the scenes that I didn't go over that much in the workshop, was the idea of connecting, you know, that process that Justina was talking about with worth, and how building up the foundation piece is crucial and is important. Process of connecting with you and your special someone. And I know we talked about writing letters and all of that stuff. Maybe if you could touch upon the idea that even if it gets a little bit emotional, that it is worthwhile, you know, because of the realizations, you know, and you're getting so many light bulbs, you know, the other day when we were chatting, that come from that.
Definitely. I feel that foundation is really strong to have, because as you see online, and that a lot of us, I feel, in this workshop have experienced that we rebrand when we find out that things aren't working anymore, or you just see people post online what they do, and then like a month later there's something else, and then a month later there's something else, just because they're just not connected to, I guess, the core of what they really want to do. And it's really stressful too, when things come up, and then when you have that strong foundation, when things come your way, or opportunities, or just like decisions you have to make, it becomes really easy and clear what to do at that point, because you have your strong foundation.
Yeah. I love the way you just explained it too. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. That was really awesome. I'm glad I recorded it so I can take notes from what you just said. I feel like that clarity is priceless too, because that's something I wish I would have had, and I didn't feel like I was getting, no matter what program and course and coach I had. No one was talking about that stuff. And what you just said, that's the critical piece too. It's knowing what to do next, and that that deep sense of clarity and foundation, because you always know what to go back to instead of all this guesswork that we were talking about before, which you guys, spurred in a topic of conversation that we had earlier. But being able to go day to day, know what you have to do. And then when a wall comes up and, life hits you and it's like, what do I do next in my business? You have that grounded core foundation to go back to and say, I know what to do next. I know who I'm speaking to. I know what they want to hear. And I just wanted to ask you a bit about, you brought up a really good question the other day, seeing in groups how when people may not be sure of what they're doing, they may ask a lot of questions to start to, guess and figure out who this ideal client is, right? The special someone. But it's so different, right? When you connect with them and do the behind the scenes work, because then you can post like you and Justina and some other ladies are doing now and connect immediately. What is that difference like, and how you see it, where people are asking you all these questions to figure out if you're their person versus you just knowing?
I feel like that's hard to explain, but actually, if you could kind of reword that.
No, that's okay. Take it. That's why there's a conversation. No worries at all. So, there, for any ladies listening, there's a point when we can see, people writing in groups or trying to figure out who their special someone is when we don't go through this process. And they can ask questions. They could bring up, hey, do you want to get on a discovery call to talk about this point, and all these different things. And I used to do that all the time to figure out, well, what is my message? When I get on this call with this person, I really only like talking about the first two topics. Okay, that cuts down what I'm talking about. Did I like talking with this person? So if you don't have this foundation, it's like you have to guess what your message is, right? And you have to guess who your person is, versus you doing this, work behind the scenes to build up this foundation and feel confident that I know this person. This person's me. And to know that I know what I'm talking about because I've been there. Oh, this is so cool. I didn't even know you could raise your hand. Okay, sorry. Justina raised her hand. Is it okay if I bring her into the dialogue real quick? And I promise for anyone listening, we will wrap up in a little bit. Thank you for still being here that we went over. Okay, I think I just click on you. Victoria, hang on. Okay.
Okay. Is it okay if I share on that, Diane?
Victoria, is that okay? Yeah, go right ahead. Okay.
When you were talking about the posting as if you're trying to find, I remember doing that, like I'm posting, but I'm unsure and I'm just trying to you're almost like tiptoeing around a bit. Or when you do the deeper inner work, you can post as an expert because you're speaking from your lessons learned. So now you're posting as an authority instead of kind of the questioning, so I just wanted to share that. I feel the difference in myself when I post. I'm taking more of that authority stance, but of course from a humble place. There's that balance that you teach us, which is so awesome. So
awesome. Thank you for sharing that. No, absolutely awesome. Victoria, do you want to piggyback on that?
Yeah, that's exactly. Once you do the deep inner work, you also feel more confident. You feel more clear, and when you're going out in the world, that shows. And I've done just go on 100 discover calls and see what shows up. I saw what shows up, but it still wasn't lighting my soul up. And then when I did the deep inner work, I saw the connection of what I really want to speak with my people about, who my special someones would be. And I would say it's like a great balance of speaking to people, but if you can speak to 100 people, in my opinion, and this is how it worked for me, but if you don't do that deep inner work, it's not going to show up and you're not going to be aligned.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Thank you both for sharing that. Victoria, I wanted everyone to know, to just hear about this last bit where it comes to delving into your creativity. And I know we chatted about some things that you were passionate about. You don't have to share everything, but how you're starting to infiltrate, and incorporate your passions, which are amazing and unique, into your business, and how you're creating a tribe around that and using that type of language. Do you want to share a bit?
Oh yeah, sure. So about passions, I am a multi-passionate person, and with that, I've connected with people who have similar passions, and I saw a theme throughout my life that people just weren't comfortable or confident to share some of the passions they have because they think people would think they're weird, or they're just all over the place, so they're just kind of good enough, so they'll just kind of do like their secret passion. Um, and so that's always been something that I wanted to kind of share and build a community of people being comfortable with whatever they like, whatever they love, what their passions are. And then one of them was, one of my passions is gaming. And I wondered how to bring that into my business because I don't see it out there and it's not common. But I kept thinking that's something I can maybe figure out in the future. But talking with Diane, she's like, no, don't forget about that. And so I was like, okay. And the more I thought about it, the more I got really excited. And now having that as one of the main passions to bring into my business and brand, I just feel that is really unique, and it's something that, I don't know, I'm just happy. I'm still building it, so I guess it's just not clear, but I just really feel that the people that I have connected with so far that do have that, they're pretty excited too, just because they haven't seen it.
Yeah. No, I think you had no words because I could tell you were so excited. Your soul's lit up. You're living in your sweet spot. And that's awesome. And everyone who can see that and hear that in your voice. And it's amazing. Do you want to share the name like Justina shared of her group so these ladies can find you guys as well?
Oh, sure. My group is Passion Meets Purpose.
I love it. I see like two little characters named Passion and Purpose holding hands and meeting each other. And see that you are building something so coherent and just so clear. And then, you have the tribe that you're building. And then it's just so exciting because same thing. Once the program's complete, the people are going to be there and they're going to be so connected and invested. And you feel that. Awesome. Thank you for sharing too. Yay. This was awesome. I've never done this before. So thank you, ladies, for being so brave. Every time I get on one of these, it's different. So thank you guys. I know we went plenty over, but what I will do, I'll see who's still on. I think we have lots of phones, but I see Susie. So Vesna's still here. I will call on whoever is here, if that's okay. Before you unmute yourself, I'll just see who's here. If you're on phone, I don't know if I can see your name, but for those who I can see, let me know if you want to share, comment, ask questions for guests by raising your hand or not, or letting me know. So since I can see your face, Susie, do you want to share, comment, say hello? And feel free to unmute yourself if you do.
Okay, short but sweet. I first of all want to thank you, Diane, and I'd like to thank Victoria and Justina as well for sharing their stories, because obviously having seen Justina in particular grow through 2015, it's really phenomenal to kind of see that, she's come through the other side, and it's so nice to see some really inspirational people who have gone through the same journey as I'm, because I think basically I got to a really good point, and then I just kind of thought, not quite ready here, so I needed to do a lot more healing, and then a lot more in terms of converting my wounds to scars before I could work on that. And obviously because I'm trying to come from a more interior design perspective rather than a coaching perspective, it's kind of a different line for me. It's less logical. So especially what you were saying about, you know, how it can be slow in the beginning and things like that. I genuinely think, you know, if or when this works out, it's going to be like a mind-blowing thing. And I just need to make sure that I've done all the healing I can in order to give 110% to everything. And also in terms of working, you know, on your sweet spot and working with your ideal client and all of this, I just wanted to share that last week I went to a kind of business training thing. It was a freebie day. I just found it and I went along, and you know, everyone had to do little introductions, and I talked about what I do. And then across the room from me, there's two architects. And so one of them goes, yeah, I've got a lead for you, like straight away. Within like millisecond, I was just like, oh my God, you know, I was going bright red as I was speaking. But it's all about being comfortable in sharing that vulnerability, but having converted those wounds into scars and having done all that healing first. And that's, I think, where I still am at, because I'm such an empath naturally. I just have a tendency to pick up on other people's emotions and really absorb them, and like I'm really sponging them up. But it kind of prevents me from seeing design from an objective point of view then. So knowing that, you know, Victoria and Justina are both working on products, I do have one, like an e-course thing that I've worked on, and I've pretty much, I mean, if I wanted to launch it, I could launch it tomorrow, you know, because it is there, it's all set up, it's all written. I just need to have the to go. So I think, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to see like the other two, kind of like you guys having gone through all of this and seeing obviously your growth, Diane, as well, and everything. Yay!
No, yay to you. Susie, actually, this is really cool because I don't know if you can see, but Justina raised her hand, so we can have a dialogue. She had something to say to your comment. So I will just, no, good things. I will be referee. I will mute you real quick, Susie, so Justina can share and then unmute you again. Sound good? Okay, cool. Okay. Justina, go.
I just wanted to say that what you teach us is absolutely transferable if you are not a coach. I just wanted to say that because I've applied what you've been telling me with my makeup artistry business, you know, and it may seem like that because, you know, you're talking about the purpose and the lessons learned and you're teaching from lessons learned. But even if you have a business that is more, it's either service-based in a different way, or maybe you even have a product, your special someone still wants to see something more than just the product, you know, and that's what you're teaching us to pull out. That's going to separate you from the next design artist or from the next makeup artist, you know. So I just wanted to say that because I didn't want anyone to feel that, you know, what you're doing is only for coaching. It's for business, period, you know. So I just want to say that.
No, thank you. And Susie, no, thank you, Justina. Susie, we're gonna get right back to you. Victoria actually has a response too. This is cool. I hope that's okay. So we'll open up a little dialogue real quick. Thank you, Justina. Yeah, real quick. Victoria, I will unmute you, and then Susie will go back to you. Okay. Victoria, you're on.
And I just want to add to anyone who's here and everyone who would watch the replay that it's okay that you're building it slow. I had so many nights where I cried in such agony that I'm building it so slow. And the business coaches I had before Diane were saying, you know, like, go launch, create your webinar outline, you know, create all these things and just get out there. And I just wasn't really resonating with, you know, all the rebranding I was going through. And Diane said something to me one day that was so powerful, that changed everything. Was the reason why like it's so slow and you're working on doing all this inner work is because you're creating a movement, and that doesn't happen overnight. And when Susie said that, you know, that when you're going to launch it, it's going to be mind-blowing. And I feel the same way about what I'm doing. And yeah, I haven't launched anything publicly yet. I'm slowly trickling it and I'm working on it because I feel the same way.
Awesome. Victoria, thank you so much for sharing that so much. Susie, I'm going to go back to you because I know we've chatted before, but I want to hear what you have to say now.
Yeah. No, I think Justina, very valid point. I think from my point of view, I was pretty naive initially before working with Diane, and that's why I wasn't able to get the clients come in and that kind of thing, and actually going through my own personal story when it comes to interior design has opened my eyes to so much more, and I'm kind of able to see my nearest and dearest and how their relationship is to interior design and how that affects them. And what I shared in Diane's group last week, last Friday I had a pretty, day at the end of it. I was pretty tired, and then I get a phone call from one of, super perky friends who'd been one of my ex-clients, and the transformation that she's gone through since having, done one program of decluttering and interior design with me was just awesome. Like, just the buzz that I got from her, it was one of those, like, you leave that conversation completely tingling. You're just like, oh my God, I can't actually believe this has happened. So Justina, I think you're entirely right. It's not just for coaches. And it took me a while to kind of figure out, how does it transfer to interior design? Like, all the messages or the conversations I was having with you, Diane, was really like hitting home. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of thinking, is this really the right thing for me? Like, is interior design my path? But it so is. I mean, even as I've been sitting here on this call, I've been kind of trying to put stuff together, and like, I'm meeting the two architects tomorrow. But that's what's going to make me stand out, this connection to, being able to say that actually, do you know what? I've moved across 3 countries at really difficult times, and I've known what it's like having to just turn up with nothing, and then, having to settle in, and how important it is to have your home as a sanctuary, especially when you don't know the language, you don't know anybody, everything's changed. Like, you just need to keep that sort of sense of home. So yeah, exciting times ahead. And Victoria, thank you for that as well. It's, a movement. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. That was a fabulous dialogue. I was just sitting here absorbing it all. Absolutely amazing. And Susie, I think even you just sharing now, just that little last bit now, people listening would be like, oh my gosh, wait, I do need a sense of home everywhere I go. So see, the thoughts come once you start delving into that. It's like, just said something brilliant, using your word there. Awesome. Thank you guys for the feedback and for sharing so openly and supporting and helping one another. See, sisterhood, tribe. This is awesome. Thank you all for still being on here. We will wrap up. I know we went over another hour. I just am an over delivery, and you guys are amazing. So let me see who we still have on that I can see. Okay. We've got phone, but Vesna, I can see your name. So I'm going to unmute you really quickly just to see if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, and then we will wrap it up. So Vesna, just to make sure you hear that I'm unmuting you. You're unmuted now. Do you have? Hi.
Hi. Well, yes, I want to thank you, Dan, and Justina, Victoria, and Susie, and everyone else. This was so strange and so emotional, and I loved every second of it. And I'm sending you all huge hugs and so much love, and thank you, because everything you said was really, really, just so heartwarming for me. And thank you, Victoria, for everything you were saying, because I was crying so hard while you were speaking, but those were like the transformational tears, the great tears, the not happy tears, but like I could resonate with most of the things that you were saying, and it was so close to my heart. And because I feel that I'm probably in the same place where you are, I've been trying to to start something new, and I'm fooling myself for 2 months into learning everything I can about the strategy, sorry, and about the how to, about how I'm gonna pull everything off. And I know everything I know about the how, but I should be working on myself and my deep work in knowing myself, and it will give me the courage. So that's why I'm not yet starting anything, because I don't feel like I know everything I need to know to start. So I'm just learning about the funnels and everything, the calls and the emails and social media and stuff. And it's time to start learning about me. So I want to thank you all for reminding me that that's what I need to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Vesta, so much. Victoria, I know she put a smiley face in the chat box. Vesta, I'm just going to let Victoria, if she wanted to respond really quickly, so you could have some thoughts back. Victoria, if that's okay, I'm just going to unmute you really quickly. If you had anything to share.
Oh yes, first of all, I want to say thank you so much. This is a testament to what Diane teaches, to share your story out loud. And I'm just so grateful that for you to know that you're not alone in all of this, and it's a long journey, and I mean, it always will. And I want to say to reach out anytime to us, in the client conversation group. And I feel, your passion, and I feel the heart of what you want to do, and you'll know it when you see it. And it's taking baby steps each day of, doing the inner work of just getting out there and sharing your story out loud, for you to have the business and then to create the life that you love.
Beautiful. Vesta, you're still unmuted if you wanted to say anything.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. I'm just so moved right now and so happy.
No, I love that. I love that. Thank you all for sharing just now. Man, I know not everyone could attend live. This recording is going to be super powerful. So, oh my gosh, thank you all. And for allowing me to share from this place, because this is the kind of work that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and to have a space for it to resonate like this, and for all of you to feel this connected. This is how business and a movement can feel. So thank you so much for being here and connecting with this. And this is just a testament, to how powerful what you have to say is, and having your voice. So we will end. I should have said this goes from 1 to 3. But I'm going to unmute all of you really quickly to just say a quick goodbye and a yay celebration. I got to come up with a good way to end these calls. So everyone is unmuted. So for those listening to the recording, before we all tune out and go about our days, can we all, I'm just trying to think of something really creative on 3, I guess, just give a note of love, or we could say, you are enough, or whatever you want to say on 3. I won't tell you what to say, just the power of saying it out loud. So I may say, you are enough, or this was awesome, or thank you for being here. So let's just do it on 3. Sound good? Okay. 1, 2, 3.
I love you all.
That was awesome. I'm going to have to watch it back to hear what everyone said. That was so good. I heard love. I heard enough. I heard, yeah, this is awesome. Thank you all for being here. Oh, man. Okay, so everyone is going to feel like, man, I should have been there live. But thank you guys for sharing. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being present. And I will be in touch with all of you soon, like I always am. So feel free to keep connecting with each other, too, so you know that you're not alone on this journey. Okay, everybody, my dears, my special someones, I will see you and speak to you soon. Thank you for being here. Can we give a Bye. Shout out loud.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.